Hey, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are all doing well. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about a key lesson that I've taken away from this month, October 2025. I truly believe this is one of those big lessons that I really should have adhered to and really made sure that I was on top of for the remainder of the month, because had I been on top of it, this month overall would have been green instead of break even. So as always, these videos are not edited or scripted or anything like that. It literally comes right off my head, right from the heart, and I'm just speaking very openly on my experience as a trader. So jumping right into it, like I said, this month overall was pretty solid. It could have been a green overall month in payouts is what I mean. But instead now it's a break-even month. And the reason for that is because I decided to trade more than I should have. Trading more than one should, like beyond the plan, beyond the system, beyond whatever, is not always the best thing. There's times where I do believe it can be beneficial. There's times where I do believe that it is a right thing to do, but it's only when you are mentally and emotionally able to do it, if you are still following your system and that's why you're executing on opportunities, and if it's just the right time to be doing it. But if these three primary requirements are not met, then trading more than one should is just not necessary. I find that it's more detrimental and more negative than it is positive. And the reason for that is, let's say you are not mentally and emotionally all there. If you're either exhausted or you've used up all of that entire bar for both your mental and emotional well-being, then it's going to be clear that your judgment is going to be skewed or completely clouded. It's going to be clear that you're not going to be able to read price as well as you usually would, especially if it's something about a breakup, you lost somebody in your family, you just came out of a surgery, maybe it's something as small as you just feel off today. All these little different factors, whether it's internal, external, if it does impact your emotional and your mental well-being, like for me, the last week, it definitely was impacted, then it's best not to trade, because it's going to be more harmful than good, because you're not going to be able to see as clear. So for me, when I was trading in one of the particular days, I was feeling just so out of it. I felt like I was burnt out. I felt like I was coming down with something, and I still continued to push on. I was like, you know what? I'm going to continue to trade. I had a competition, a trading competition I was a part of, and I wanted to, do something about it. I wanted to finally make some gains and show up. And instead of executing to the high degree with a peak mindset, I was actually executing at a low bar, and that was more hurtful and harmful than it was beneficial and positive for me. That also trickled into some of my other accounts that I had, because I was going off of, again, like a low mentality or a low emotional state, and having that trickle into the rest of my accounts is not going to be beneficial in the long run. So that was not fun. The other thing is, let's say that you are trading more than you should, but your emotional and mental well-being is fine. However, you are not fully there. If you are not focused and locked in to your screen and to your trading, it's very easy to miss something. So again, from my own personal experience, one of the days that I had was I was using my trade copier, and at least I thought it was. I had disconnected and then reconnected, did the whole shebang, and it's not the copier's fault, it's my own fault. Instead, I realized that I was on the wrong symbol. Instead of the micro side, I was on the mini side. I was so locked in about the copier being off or on and connected or disconnected that I didn't pay attention to the symbol. I was clearly not focused on the most important thing, which truly is going to be everything all combined, right? But the main priority is the chart, like making sure I'm looking at things right, I'm reading price right, I'm entering where I should be entering based off my system. And instead of looking at that, I was looking more again at the software and making sure, okay, all the accounts are connected. I can see like the trade has been placed through. Not until like shortly, a few, like 2 minutes after, did I realize I was in the minis versus the micros. And that in itself could either lead to a bigger loss that was not, necessary, or that could have led to a very lucky win. At the end of the day, though, that's not going to benefit me, though. Yes, maybe a lucky win is going to be nice. Who doesn't like to make some extra profits without actually trying to make extra profits? But the point that I'm trying to get through, the habits I'm trying to break, the place I'm trying to push myself to, is all about having that, stable and consistent building of consistency. And if I'm not being consistent all the way through, then I can only expect the same results. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So I feel like that sounds maybe like a tangent to the point of this video about talking about overtrading, but I promise it's all connected. There's points where you might think overtrading is bad, and there's points where you think overtrading is good. At the end of the day, I personally believe, from my own journey, from what I've seen on the internet, from what I've heard from other people that are real traders, like on the live floor, like hedge fund people and all that stuff, is it all comes down to your mental. Like, you can have the best system in the world, but if your mental, your emotional is not there, then you won't be able to trade at the highest degree. And that connects right into overtrading, because if you do have your peak mindset, your peak emotional state, your peak mental, everything is peak, then obviously trading more than you should, like let's say you're executing Asia, also London, also Tokyo, also New York, pretty much every single session. If you're executing each one and you're following your system, you're consistent and everything's peak, you're gonna do well. As far as like, even if it's a losing trade, you're gonna do well because you're following your system and you're showing consistency all the way through. But let's say you're not at those peak levels and you're still trying to trade all the sessions, taking every single opportunity, trying to be mechanical, but your vision is blurred, but your emotions are super heightened, so it's going to like play mind games on yourself, which further hurts you than it does benefit you. There's just so much we can talk about with that. But for me anyways, that's like the key takeaway that I've learned from this month. If my one singular week out of the 4 weeks that I had I just focused on that major lesson, things could have been different. I could have either had the same pace I was at or made even more profits because of following my system. But instead of doing that, I completely reverted back. I traded more than I should have at low levels of emotional well-being, mental well-being, and obviously that impacts the risk management, that impacts the amount of time I trade. It just impacts everything. And I shouldn't have done that if I just stepped away. So for the final 2 days of October, I made the decision to not trade. At first, I was like kind of hesitant. Maybe I should just trade a little bit. Maybe I'll just do evals. But instead, I made the firm decision like the morning of those last 2 days to just not do that at all. And just didn't even look at the charts. Maybe for like 15 seconds I did, but I didn't place any trades. I didn't even consider to do anything crazy because I know there's more opportunity. And I know right now I need to build the mental and emotional state that I have in order to come back full force at that peak mindset, at the peak emotional state, at my peak strategy, at peak everything, and come back better than ever. So what's the point of blowing more accounts or risking to trade more accounts if I know I'm not fully like emotionally capable and not fully mentally capable to do it, and I know myself? So what's the point of putting that risk on the table? Like, you can always gamble, but you might as well go to the casino and bet it all on black or all on red. There's no point in like trying to do that in the market. So that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about. I feel like at this point I want to ramble about more things. You guys know me, I like to yap, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut it there. I just feel like October was again a great eye opener for a lot of different things, but this being like one of the biggest because I struggle with it. I struggle with overtrading, and at least overtrading with the wrong factors. Again, the emotional, the mental, just the peak other things. So if I can again continue to push myself, show up with my chin up, best foot forward, focus on myself, my own lane, my own chapter, my own story, and go from there, I think that the world is limitless. I think the rewards are limitless, and I can only do better. So I'm looking forward to coming back in November 2025. Again, I only took the last 2 days off, so it's not like I'm gone forever. I will be in Houston though, so I'm not sure how like my attention and focus will be while trading the first week of November, since I'll be there for a couple of days. But I do know at the end of it all, I'm very excited to still come back after my mini little break, making sure I'm refreshed, making sure I'm all there, and applying all the lessons I've taken from October and also this specific one about overtrading and getting better to end 2025. So thank you so much for all of your time and support. I hope that this video was relatable to some people out there. I know my traders out there get through a funk sometimes of trying to know when to trade, not to trade. So let me know in the comments below if you guys have something similar going on or anything else happening in your journey. But as always, I wish you guys nothing but the best and the most success in all that you do. And I will see you all in the next video and when I'm back from Houston.